Hello students, today we are going to start with the concluding with the same chapter, that is the tariffs and power factor improvement, and the tariff part we have covered in our last lecture, and today we are going to start with the next topic, that is the power factor improvement. And under this topic we have to cover, one is the need for power factor improvement, then power factor improvement using capacitors, then the determination of most economic power factors. So very important part, this one, that is a determination of economic power factor, and under this topic we have to cover two derivations and some related numericals with that. So starting with the power factor, the basic definition. So power factor is the measure of how effectively electrical equipment converts the electric power that is supplied by our utility into the useful power output. Okay, as we know that in case of power triangle, that there are three different types of power. Now, there is real power, there is reactive power, and there is apparent power. So what's the function of power factor? That how effectively the electrical equipments convert that power that is available into the useful power output. Okay, or in technical terms, it is the ratio of active power, whose units are kilowatt, to the apparent power, whose units are kilovolt amperes, kVA, we generally said. K is the kilos of an electrical installation. And in general, we have three definitions for the power factor. The first one, it is the cosine of the angle between the voltage and current. Okay, so it is the cosine of the angle between net voltage and net current of any circuit. So it is given by cos of theta. Okay, cos of theta is equal to P divided by VI, because we know that P, that is the active power, P is equal to VI cos theta. So the cos theta comes out to be P divided by VI. So this becomes our first formula for the power factor. Or simply, if theta is known to you, then you take the cosine of that particular angle and the power factor is calculated. Okay, so let's suppose if the theta is 60 degree, like, or 70 degree, so take the cosine of that angle and you know the power factor. Similarly, the next definition is the ratio between the resistance and impedance is also called the power factor. So if in the numerical resistance is given for any circuit and final impedance is given for that circuit, then it's very easy to calculate the power factor. It is R by Z. And the third definition is, it is the ratio between the actual power, actual means active power and the apparent power. Okay, so this one is also the power factor. Okay, so power factor is generally represented with, we can represent it as PX. Okay, and angle is generally represented by theta or phi. Phi angle is generally also used for that. Okay, so cos theta is equals to kW divided by kVA. kW is the active power and kVA is the apparent power. Now, what is the difference between the three powers? So it's very important to know that difference. So let's see that difference from this figure. So in this, there are two figures. The first one is the coffee mug. Okay, so in the coffee mug, this is the actual coffee. Okay, and this one is a froth. And this total is called as, we represent the complete amount in this coffee mug as the total power. And with this total power, the useful part is only the coffee. This froth is not a useful part. Okay, so the useful part, that is the coffee, is act as our real power. Okay, and this froth, which is not useful to us, will act as the reactive power. And similarly, if you see here the packet of Lay's chips, okay, and here the amount of chips actually present in the packet, okay, that will act as your active power. Okay, and the gas that is filled in this packet, that is of no use, so that is the reactive power. And the total content in this packet is your apparent power. So active power is actually the useful power available to us, okay, out of the net power. So the total power of active and reactive is called as the apparent power, and the useful power that is available to us is called as the active power, and the units for this is kilowatts, the reactive power kVAR, and the apparent power is kVA. Okay, now let's see this power triangle just for your revision. And here in the power triangle, actually it is a right angle triangle. On the base there is the active power, on the perpendicular side there is the reactive power, and on the hypotenuse side there is the apparent power. Okay, and now see the formulas. For the active power, the symbol is P and the formula is VI cos of theta, because theta is the angle here between the hypotenuse and the base. Okay, it is VI cos theta. For the reactive power, the symbol is Q and the formula is VI sine of theta. And for the apparent power, the symbol is S and the formula is simple V into I. Okay, now the units, the unit for the active power is kW, that is kilowatts. For reactive power, it is kVAR, kilovolt ampere reactive, and for apparent power it is kVA, that is kilovolt amperes simply. And what is the relation between the three powers? It is S is equal to P square plus Q square whole square root. Okay, or you can say in the form of units, kVA is equal to kilowatt square plus kVAR square and whole square root. Okay, or it is S is equal to P square plus Q square whole square root. So this is our power triangle. Now, what are the causes of low power factor? Okay, so there are the different causes, and the main cause for the low power and the importance of this power factor is generally taken in the case of the industries. In various industries like small scale industry, medium scale industry, or large scale industry, because the low power factor plays a very important role. Okay, if the power factor is low, the efficiency of their machinery also decreases. So it's very important to know the causes behind the low power factor so that it must be improved. Okay, so the first cause for the low power factor is the inductive loads. And 90% of the industrial load consists of induction machines that we know, both in the form of single phase or three phase. And such machines draw the magnetizing current to produce the magnetic field and hence work at low power factors. So the main reason behind the low power factor is the inductive load present in the industries. And for induction motors, the power factor is usually extremely low, like 0.2 or 0.3 at light loading conditions, and it is 0.8 to 0.9 at full load conditions. And we know that the range for the power factor is 0 to 1. Okay, and it is available in leading and lagging cases. Okay, lagging case is generally for the inductive loads, and leading case is given by the capacitive loads that we know. The current drawn by the inductive loads is lagging in nature and results in low power factor. So it contributes to the low power factor. And the other inductive machines such as transformers, generators, arc lamps, electric furnaces, etc. also work at low power factor. Okay, so these are some other machines which also contributes to the low power factor, because all these machines are also inductive in nature. That's why. And it gives us the lagging power factor, which results in decreasing the overall power factor. And some other causes are like variation in power system loading. So it's another cause. Like today we have interconnected power systems. Okay, all our power systems are, power grid is interconnected for the whole country. And according to the different seasons and time, the loading conditions of the power system vary. Okay. There are peak as well as low load periods. So when the system is loaded lightly, the voltage increases and the current drawn by the machine also increases, and this results in low power factor. Okay, so this is one of another reason that contributes to the low power factor, that is the variation in the power system loading. And that means if the our power system does not run smoothly, then it contributes to the low power factor. And another reason is the harmonic currents. The presence of harmonic currents in the system also reduces the power factor. Okay. And like in some cases, due to the improper wiring or electrical accidents, a condition known as three-phase power imbalance occurs. Okay. What is this imbalance? That means the harmonics are generated in our currents or voltages, and this results in the low power factor also. Okay, so these are some of the causes behind the low power factor. The main cause is the inductive loads present in our industries, and next is the variation in the power system loading, and next is the harmonic currents. Okay, so these are some of the main causes. And next, now, what are the effects of low power factor? So if the power factor is low, higher current is required by the equipment, because we know that the equation for the power is P is equals to VI cos of theta. And if cos theta is decreased, like as you seen here in the power triangle, so this is the equation for formula for the active power. And if in this formula cos theta is decreased, cos theta, that is the power factor, becomes low, and we know that the voltage is constant. So if the power factor decreases, current increases. Okay, and because to maintain the output power constant, if the power factor decreases, our current starts increasing, and it affects on the machinery a lot. Higher current is required by the equipment, due to which the economic cost of the equipment is increased. Okay, as the current increases, we know that the I2R losses also increases. Okay, its temperature increases and efficiency decreases. So all that are the effects of low power factor related to the current. So at low power factor, the current is high, which gives to high copper losses in the system. Copper losses mean I2R losses, and therefore the efficiency of the system is reduced. Okay, and if the losses increases, losses in the system starts increasing, its efficiency starts reducing. That we know. Okay, more are the losses, less is the efficiency. So higher current produced a large voltage drop in the apparatus also. Okay, this results in the poor voltage regulation. So if the current is high, voltage drop also increases. What is the voltage drop? That is I into Z. Or if the resistance only is I into R. Okay, if inductance is there, I into XL. That is the voltage drop. Okay, so if the voltage drop increases, the voltage regulation becomes poor. Now, since both the capital and running costs are also increased, the operation of the system at low power factor, whether it is lagging or leading, is uneconomical from the supplier's point of view. So, if the power factor is low, so the cost of that particular equipment or machinery or energy producing also increases. So it is uneconomical to run the machinery at low power factor. Now, the advantages of power factor improvement. The first one is increase in the efficiency of the system and devices. If the power factor is improved, so actually this topic is the reverse of this topic. Okay, if the power factor is improved, our current starts decreasing. Okay, and low current is beneficial. Current is low, losses are low, and efficiency is improved. Okay, so increase in the efficiency, low voltage drop, okay, reduction in the size of conductor and cable, which reduces the cost of the copper, and increase in the available power. Okay, more output power is available to us. Line losses are reduced. Okay. Approximate size of electrical machines, that is transformer, generators. Eliminate the penalty of low power factor from the electrical supply company. Okay, while doing our tariffs, na, we know that there is the penalty for low power factor on the industries also. So if the power factor is within the limits, this penalty is removed. And low kilowatt hour consumption, saving in the power bill is there. Better usage of power system, lines and generators, saving in energy as well as rating, and the cost of electrical devices and equipment is reduced. So these are some of the advantages if the power factor is improved. And but we know that the range for the power factor is 0 to 1, and the most appropriate power factor is from 0.85 to 0.95 is considered that. Now there are two questions arises that is it possible for the utility to raise the power factor to unity? Why or why not? Whether the unity power factor is possible, and if yes, how, and if not, well. And second question is, why is unity power factor not economical? Because we generally see that most of the machines, when the power factor is improved, na, so it is improved up to the limit of 0.9 or 0.95, not up to unity. Okay, not up to unity because it is not economical. So let's see their answers now. The first question, as the power factor depends upon the load being fed. Okay, that we know. What type of load is there in the industry? The power factor depends upon that. So if the load is entirely resistive, the power factor is unity. We know that. Okay, because for the resistive loads, the voltage and currents are in phase with each other. Okay, what's the phase angle between voltage and current? Then becomes 0 degree. And what is cos of 0 degree? It becomes unity. Okay, so the power factor become unity only in the case when the load is totally resistive. But if the load includes an inductor or capacitor, then due to the phase displacement between voltage and current, the power factor will be lag or lead respectively. And we know that in generally all the industries, the load is of inductive nature. Okay, or some little capacitive loads is there, like synchronous machines are there, or some capacitor banks are there, shunt capacitors are there. Okay, that will contribute to the leading power factor. But in general, most of the industries have inductive loads. Okay, so then the power factor will be of lagging nature. Okay. Now, for the second question, why is unity power factor not economical? Why it is not economical to run the machinery at unity power factor? Like, from the initial cost point of view, it is costly. I'm just reading these lines. As unity power factor equipment are very efficient. What are the unity power factor equipment that will contribute to the leading power factor? Like synchronous condensers are there, okay, or shunt capacitors are there. These equipments are very much costly. First one thing. So the generation and transmission costs are reduced, but the equipment required to achieve this unity power factor is quite costly. So we can use capacitor banks. As power factor improving, as capacitance improves the power factor, but the cost of capacitor banks is high and its life is also considerably low. Okay, their cost is high, their life is low. So we generally said that raising the power factor to unity is not economical. So from the point of view, it is uneconomical if you plan to use it for the smaller requirements. Okay, if our requirement is small, then it is not feasible to use such the costly equipments for improving the power factor to unity. Okay, so but if you plan to use for the larger purposes, for the large scale industries, okay, where the output is large, so initially it will seem to be costly, but over a period of time, this unity power factor will prove beneficiary. Okay, so the unity power factor will prove beneficiary only in case of the large industries. Okay, where the outputs are large, but if our work is small or small scale industries there, so it is not viable or feasible to use the costly equipments for the power factor improvements, as their life is also low. Okay, so we generally said that it is not economical to raise the power factor to unity. Like from the cost point of view, so it is not economical to raise the power factor to unity. So these are very important questions related to the power factor. And now the various devices used for the power factor improvement are, one is the capacitors, we know, and another is the synchronous condensers. Okay, the process of supplying the reactive power, lagging or leading, to bring the power factor closer to unity is known as power factor correction. That is for improving the power factor, whether by supplying, leading or by lagging nature. Okay, or to improve the power factor to the range of 0.85 or to 0.9 or 0.95. So that is called as a power factor correction. This can be done by the following equipments, like in parallel with the load, like capacitors or synchronous condensers. Generally, synchronous condensers are installed in each industry and in the generating stations also for the power factor improvement. Okay, now these are some of the methods used for the power factor improvement. Like now, first one, the basic definition, the value to which the power factor should be improved so as to have maximum net annual savings is known as most economical power factor. Okay, and here in this topic, the power factor is related with the cost, that how much the power factor is improved so that our savings would be maximum, so that it is economical. Okay, so that is the most economical power factor, and under this heading we have to cover two methods. One is the, actually two derivations are there. One is the most economical power factor when kW demand is constant. KW means our active power, our useful power remains constant in the first derivation, and in the second derivation the most economical power factor when kVA demand is constant. kVA means the apparent power demand is constant. So we have to do two derivations, and let's do these derivations on the board now. So this is our first derivation related to the most economical power factor when kW demand is constant. kW means the active power demand. We should have to maintain it constant, but we have to improve the power factor. Okay, and we know that the power factor is cos of theta. Okay, or you say here I am taking here the angle as cos of phi, and I know that the cos of 0 degree, cos of 0 degree is equals to 1, and cos of 90 degree is equals to 0. That means when the angle is increasing, the power factor is decreasing. Okay, so my motive is to decrease the angle to improve the power factor. So in this figure here, this actually relate this figure with the power triangle. So we know that in case of power triangle, when we draw it like this is the base and this one is representing your active power. This perpendicular side represents your reactive power, and this apparent hypotenuse side represents your apparent power. And here is the angle phi. Okay, and here this OP, this is the active power in kilowatts. OP is the active power in kilowatts. So we have to improve the power factor from cos of phi 1 to cos of phi 2. That is by decreasing the angle. Okay? Initially my angle is cos of phi 1 and I am going to decrease it to the angle phi 2 for improving the power factor. And how I am going to improve the power factor? By installing the capacitors. Okay, and the installation of the capacitors, we know that it gives the leading power factor, and the leading power factor is given by this Q. Okay, so Q is the capacitive kVAR. Okay, Q is the capacitive kVAR installed in the system to improve the power factor from cos of phi 1 to cos of phi 2. Okay, now there are some costs that are associated with this system. One is the A. Let A is equal to annual charges per kVA of maximum demand per year. Okay. Here in this system, I am not going to change the active power, because as per the heading of my derivation, it is the most economical power factor when kW demand is constant. I have not to change the active power. I have to maintain the active power output as constant power. Okay, so OP must not to be changed during the whole derivation. Okay, so OP remains fixed. What is to be changed? I am changed here the apparent power. Initially, the apparent power is OS1, and after improving the power factor, my apparent power becomes OS2. Okay, so this is the new apparent power. Okay, so A is the annual charges per kVA, that is related with the apparent power. Annual charges per kVA of maximum demand per year. Okay, and B is the annual interest and depreciation charges for capacitor installation, because the capacitor installation is required to improve the power factor. Okay, so there are some expenses on that capacitor installation also. So B are those expenses. Okay, so it is the annual interest and depreciation charges for capacitor installation per kVAR. Okay, because the capacitor installation, we know that it gives us the leading power factor in the form of reactive power, and this one is represented by that capacitor installation. Okay, so this is the basic. Our assumptions or our notations that we are going to use in this derivation. One is the OP is the active power. Power factor improves from cos of phi 1 to cos of phi 2. Then Q is the capacitive kVAR, A is the annual charges per kVA, and B is for the capacitor installation. Now let's start with the derivation part. Now, as seen from this system, what are the annual savings now for the maximum demand point of view? So annual savings, because in this derivation now we have to derive or we have to improve the power factor, but our savings must also be maximum. Okay, we know that for improving the power factor, some expenses are there in the form of capacitor installation. So the savings must also to be maximized so that the power factor should be improved to its the maximum limit. So the annual savings, it is given by, these are the annual charges per kVA. So it is A multiplied by, initially kVA is OS1. After improving the power factor, the kVA becomes OS2, and A is the charge related to the kVA. So it is OS1 minus OS2. Okay, so these are our annual savings depending upon the charges, depending upon the kVA charge. Okay, A into OS1 minus OS2, and further it is written as, now as seen from the trigonometry rules, that OS1, this one, ठीक है, OS1 is equals to OP divided by cos of phi 1, because we know that the cos is equals to base upon hypotenuse. Okay, cos is base upon hypotenuse, and if you apply the cos formula here, it becomes OP divided by OS1. So OS1 comes out to be OP divided by cos of phi 1. Okay, and similarly OS2, it can be written as OP divided by cos of phi 2, like this. Okay, now take OP common out, so it comes out to be A into OP, and in the in the bracket it is 1 upon cos of phi 1, and what is 1 upon cos of phi 1? It is secant phi 1. Okay, so it can be written as secant phi 1 minus secant phi 2. Okay, so these are our annual savings related to the KVA demand. Okay, now what are the annual expenses? Okay, these are the savings. Now expenses are on the capacitor. Okay, so the next one is the annual cost of capacitor installation. So annual cost of capacitor installation. Okay, and this is equal to annual cost of capacitor installation is, one is this B, this cost factor, B multiplied by Q, that is the reactive power supplied by the capacitors. Okay, B multiplied by Q, and it can further be written as B. Now what is Q? Just see, we know that the perpendicular upon base, it is tan. Okay, perpendicular upon base is tan theta. So we are using the same relation for that. So here it can be written as OP tan of phi 1 minus OP tan of phi 2, like this. Okay, this one is Q. It is PS1 minus PS2. So I am using here the relation of tangent. So OP tan of phi 1 minus OP tan of phi 2. And here also take OP as common. So B into OP, and in the bracket it comes out to be tan of phi 1 minus tan of phi 2, like this. Okay, just mark these equations as, this one as equation number 1 and this as equation number 2. Now, as you've seen here from the equation number 1 and equation number 2, that equation number 1 represents our annual savings after improving the power factor, and equation number 2 represents our expenses. ठीक है, मतलब हमने कैपेसिटर इंस्टॉल करने में कितना खर्चा किया, ये हमारी सेविंग्स हो गई. Okay, so what are the net savings now comes out to be? So the net savings so what are the net savings now? These are the annual savings, these are the expenses. So this minus this being our net savings. So net savings is, that means equation number 1 minus equation number 2. So that will be given by the net savings. And now my motive is to maximize the net savings. And how to maximize the net savings? Just differentiate with respect to the phi 2 and equate it to 0. Okay, for maximum net savings now, for maximum net savings, differentiate savings with respect to phi 2 and equate it to 0. So now we are going to apply this mathematical relation, that is differentiate it with respect to phi 2 and equate it to 0. So just doing these calculations now, that means d by d of phi 2, and what are the savings? Equation 1 minus equation 2. Okay, this one is my equation number 1, this one is my equation number 2. So I'm going to write it here like A into OP, and in the bracket it is secant of phi 1 minus secant of phi 2, like this. This is my first equation, minus B into OP, and in the bracket it is tan of phi 1 minus tan of phi 2. Okay, just differentiate it with respect to phi 2 and equate it to 0. Okay, and now we know that what is the differentiation of secant? Secant it is, that is secant into tan. Okay, differentiation of secant is secant into tan, and the differentiation of tan is secant square. Okay, and one thing is we have to differentiate this equation with respect to phi 2 only. Okay, with respect to phi 2. So this component, this one, that is with phi 1, and this component, this comes out to be 0. Okay, because here it is secant phi 1, but we have to differentiate it with respect to phi 2. So this becomes 0, this becomes 0. Okay, so let's do that. So the savings, maximum savings now, it comes out to be like A into OP. Here it is 0 minus secant phi 2 tan phi. Okay, I'm writing here the complete relation. 0 minus secant phi 2 tan phi 2, like this. Okay, and minus B into OP, 0 minus the differentiation of tan is secant square. Okay, so it comes out to be secant square phi 2 and equate it to 0. Okay, now just we have to solve it. So this can now be written like this, minus A to OP secant phi 2 tan phi 2 is equal to this taken on the other side, B into OP secant square phi 2, and OP cancel out. One secant phi 2 is also cancel out. So we are left with, that is minus A into tan of phi 2, that is sine of phi 2 divided by cos of phi 2 is equals to B into 1 upon cos of phi 2, like this. And one thing is, here it is the negative sign. Okay, here it is the negative sign, so this becomes negative, negative, positive, and when we move it to the other side, so this also becomes negative, and here the negative signs cancel out each other. Okay, so this is the relation, and here the cos also cancel out, and finally we come to the relation that sine of phi 2 is equal to B upon A. Okay, and but we have to find out the most equal power factor. So what is power factor? Power factor is cos of phi 2. Okay, so we came up with the sine of phi 2 is equals to b upon a. So what is cos of phi 2 now? Firstly, calculate here from phi 2 is equals to sine inverse of b by a. So therefore, cos of phi 2, that is the most economical power factor. That is cos of phi 2 comes out to be cos of sine inverse of b by a. Like this. Okay, so this is the most economical power factor when kW demand is constant. Okay, when I'm not going to use the change the active power. So this one is the relation for the most economical power factor. And as you seen here that it depends upon B upon A. What is B? That is the expenses on the capacitor installation. Okay, and what is A? A is the annual savings on the KVA demand charge when the power factor is improved. Okay, so A relates with the savings and B relates with the capacitor installation. Okay, so this being our first derivation related to the most economical power factor. Okay, so for the second derivation, that is the most economical power factor when KVA demand is constant. Okay, here we are not to change the KVA demand now. So this is the figure, and in this figure, the KVA that is represented by this side hypotenuse OS remains fixed. Okay, and initially the angle is phi 1 and it is decreased to angle phi 2, and we are just draw some same arc and the active power changes from OP1 to OP2. Okay, the power output increases from OP1 to OP2. So let OS is the constant KVA and power factor is improved from cos of phi 1 to cos of phi 2, and active power changes from OP1 to OP2. And let's see is the annual charges on capacitor installation that is given by this reactive Q, and D is the net return per kilowatt on the useful power. Net return per kilowatt of installation per year. Okay, so these are some of the notations used for this derivation. Now, the annual increase in return. Okay, as here the output power is increased from OP1 to OP2. So, therefore, annual increase in return. Okay, annual increase in return. So, it is given by D, this factor D into OP2 minus OP1. Okay, so this is the annual increase in return, and it can further be written as D into, so OP2 it is written in the form of KVA as OS cos of phi 1 OP2, that is cos of phi 2 minus OS cos of phi 1. Okay, it can be written like this because cos is based upon hypotenuse. So it can be written in the form of OS. Okay, and next is the annual charges on capacitor installation. Now, annual charges on capacitor installation. Okay, annual charges on capacitor installation, it is given by this C. It is equal to C multiplied by Q. Okay, this Q is related to the capacitive reactive power. Okay, C multiplied by Q, and it can further be written as C into OS, this C. This Q is equals to this P1S minus P2S. Okay, so it can be written as OS into sine of phi 1. Okay, P1S relates with the phi 1 angle. Okay, so OS into sine of phi 1 minus OS into sine of phi 2, like this. Okay, now just mark this equation as number 1, this one as equation number 2. So the net savings are now given as by equation number 1 minus equation number 2. Okay, equation number 1 minus equation number 2, and following the same rule as done in the previous derivation, to maximize the net savings, that is to maximize the savings, just differentiate it with respect to phi 2 and equate it to 0. Okay, differentiate the savings with respect to phi 2 and equate it to 0. Okay, and when you differentiate it with respect to phi 2, so this component becomes 0 and this component becomes 0. Okay, the component that is related with the phi 1, that comes out to be 0. And I am writing here directly, the answer that comes out to be, minus D into OS, this component. Okay, minus D into OS into sine of phi 2, because we know the differentiation of cos is minus sine. Okay, that's why here comes out to be the negative sign, minus D into OS. When you differentiate this component with respect to phi 2, minus D into OS sine of phi 2, then this component becomes 0, minus 0. Then differentiate this one, this again comes out to be 0, minus 0. And next, when you differentiate this, the differentiation of sine is cos. Okay, so it can be written as plus C into OS cos of phi. Okay, I am just writing it here. Plus C into OS cos of phi 2 and equate it to 0. Okay, now simply when you solve it, so it will give you the relation, that is tan of phi 2 upon solving, it comes out to be tan of phi 2 comes out to be C by D. Okay, tan of phi 2 comes out to be C by D. And how to calculate the power factor? As phi 2 is equals to tan inverse of C by D, and further the most economical power factor, I am writing it here now, it can be written as cos of phi 2 is equals to cos of this tan inverse of C by D. Okay, so this one is your next relation when when KVA demand is constant. Okay, so it is actually C is the annual charges on capacitor installation, and D is the net return per kilowatt of the installation. Power factor. So now let's see on the PPT. So this one is the same derivation that we have recently covered on the board. So in this one is when the most economical power factor when kW demand is constant. So this being our figure, initially phi 1 is there, finally phi 2 is there, and this one is the complete derivation. And upon solving, we got this as sine of phi 2 comes out to be y by x. Here they are using y and x as notations. There on the board we are using a and b. So for this, from this you can easily calculate most economical power factor using this formula also, that is 1 minus sine square pi by 2 or 1 minus pi by x square. Okay, square root. Okay, and this one is the next derivation, that is the most economical power factor when kVA demand is constant. And here it is kVA, that means the hypotenuse must remain constant, but there is increase in the net output power from OP1 to OP2. Okay, so suppose that the power factor is improved from cos of phi 2 by supplying the leading kVAR, that is Q. This one is our leading kVAR. Okay, by installing the power factor correction equipment. And the kVA output to be maintained constant, and the output power increases from OP1 to OP2. And this being the derivation that we have recently covered on the board. And this is the A is the annual cost per kilowatt of the installation. Okay, and this is the reactive power relation, and then the net savings. This one be the relation, and here comes out to be tan of phi 2 is equals to b by a, and here they are using the notations b and a. Okay, as you see here that okay, here a is the annual cost per kilowatt of installation, and this b is related to the annual cost per kVAR of the power factor correction equipment, or whether you say here the capacitor installation. Okay, so this is our final relation, and the most economical power factor is cos phi 2, and it is given by this equation number 2. And in the past, the most economical value of the power factor was around 0.95. The present value is towards unity because of the high cost of plant and fuel. However, as the power factor approaches unity, the cost of power factor correction equipments also becomes more. So it is not economical for the consumers to raise the power factor to unity. Okay, so this is the main reason why the power factor is not increases to the. So now let's start with the numerical portion related to the power factor improvement topic. And let's have first question. A factory which has a maximum demand of 175 kilowatt at a power factor of 0.75 lagging is charged at a rate of ₹72 per kVA per annum. Okay, that means for yearly basis. If the phase advancing equipment cost, what is this phase advancing equipment? That is the same name for the power factor improvement device. Okay, here they are using the word phase advancing equipment. Okay, if the phase advancing equipment costs ₹120 per kVAR, as we know that these equipments always supplying us the reactive power, okay, for improving the overall power factor. So its cost is ₹120 per kVAR. Find the most economical power factor at which the factory should operate. Interest and depreciation total is 10% of the capital investment on the phase advancing equipment. Okay, so this one is given as 10%. Now the power factor which is already there in the factory, that is cos of phi 1, which is 0.75 lagging, and we have to improve this power factor. Okay, and how to improve this? By installing some new equipments which are providing for the ₹120 per kVAR. Okay, so maximum demand charges X is equals to ₹72 per kVA per annum. It is given in the question. Okay, maximum demand charges are given. So expenditure on the phase advancing equipment Y, that is equals to ₹120 multiplied by 0.1. Why this 0.1? Because of the 10% interest and depreciation rate. Okay, so that's why it's 120 multiplied by 0.1. So that comes out to be ₹12 per kVAR per annum. Okay, let's see here the star option. The total investment for producing 1 kVAR is ₹120, and the annual interest and depreciation is 10%. So it means that an expenditure of rupees 120 multiplied by 10 by 100, that is rupees 12, is enough on 1 kVAR per annum. So that's why we multiply here 120 with 10%. So it comes out to be rupees 12. Now the most economical power factor, now here you are going to directly apply the formula like cos of phi 2 is equals to 1 upon, that is square root of 1 minus y by x square, that is equals to 1 minus, what is y? Y is the expenditure on the phase advancing equipment, that is 12. Okay, divided by x is the maximum demand charges, that is 72. Okay, and it comes out to be 0.986 lakh. So this is our improved power factor cos of phi. And this formula we have already derived in our previous derivation. See here. Here this one in the first derivation. Okay, where we kept our kV kilowatt demand constant. So in that derivation, we got this final result as cos of phi 2 is equals to square root of 1 minus y by x square, and from this formula here it is applied in this numerical and we got this as the improved power factor. Okay, directly you have to put down the values. Y is the expenditure on the capacitor or any phase advancing equipment, x is the kVA demand charges, and directly divide them and take the square root and we got this answer. Now see in this second question. A factory has an average demand of 50 kilowatt and an annual load factor of 0.5. Okay, average demand it is given 50 kilowatt, load factor 0.5. The power factor is 0.75 lagging. The tariff is rupees 100 per kVA of maximum demand per annum. Here the tariff scheme is given now. Okay, one is the maximum demand plus 5 paise per kilowatt hour. Okay, how the tariff scheme is given? It is given in the form of maximum demand plus energy. No constant part is given here. So if the loss-free capacitors costing, so here they are using the word capacitors, that is for improving the power factor. If the loss-free capacitor costing rupees 600 per kVAR are to be utilized, find the value of power factor at which the maximum saving will result. So it is the same wording, that is to find the most economical power factor. That means at which the maximum saving will occur. The interest and depreciation together amount 10%. Again, also determine the annual saving affected by improving the power factor to this value. Okay. Now, as X, that is the maximum demand, it is given rupees 100 per kVA, okay, per annum, and expenditure on capacitors, it is given here like 0.1 multiplied by 600. It is given 600 per kVA, but with the interest and depreciation rate of 10%. So that's why 600 multiplied by 10%, that is 0.1. So it comes out to be rupees 60 per kVAR per annum. Now directly applying the formula, that is cos of phi 2 for most economical power factor, that is square root of 1 minus y by x square and whole, that put down the values and you got the improved power factor as 0.8 lagging as per the given data. Okay, so maximum kilowatt demand now is, it comes out to be 50 divided by 0.5. Okay, so here it is 50 and divided by the load factor 0.5. So maximum kilowatt demand, it comes out to be 50 divided by 0.5. We know the formula, that is it is the average divided by load factor. Okay, so it comes out to be 100 kilowatt, and the maximum kVA demand at 0.75 power factor is 100 divided by 0.75. This is the 100 kVA. When 0.75 power factor is there, then the maximum kVA demand is this one, 133.34. Okay, in terms of kilowatts, where it is 100 upon 0.8, that is 125 kVA at 0.8 power factor. Okay, like for 0.75 power factor, it is 133.34 kVA. But when the power factor is improved to 0.8, then the kVA comes out to be 125 kVA. So what are the savings now? So annual savings comes out to be Here it is the 100 per kVA. Okay, 100 multiplied by this minus this. Okay, so this is our annual saving on installing the capacitors. Okay, so this is how to calculate the savings in terms of kVA demand. Okay, so these are the two numericals which are solved here, and now these numericals we have to do on the board now. So let's start with these numericals. Okay, so in the given numerical, it is a 400 volt, 3 phase, 50 ampere, and cos phi initially for the installation is 0.8 pound per lagging, and this whole data is for the installation. And next, we have to install the synchronous motor to improve the power factor to 0.95 lagging. And this synchronous motor will supply a load of 25 horsepower at an efficiency of 0.9. It is given in the question. Okay, so before starting the actual calculations, let's draw the three power triangles, one for the installation, another for the synchronous motor, and another for the load, because we have to do the calculations for all types of power in the three cases. Okay, so now let's start with the firstly just calculate the kilowatt of installation, that is kilowatt rating of installation. Okay, as we know that the installation is a three phase. Okay, installation is a three phase, so the formula comes out for the kilowatt rating is, it comes out to be under root 3 VI cos of phi. Okay, under root 3 VI cos of phi, and just put down the values. Under root 3 multiplied by V is 400 multiplied by 50 is given, and cos of phi initially is 0.8. Okay, just do the calculation. Okay, so the answer for this comes out to be 27.7 kilowatt. So this is the kilowatt rating for the installation. Now the kVA rating for installation. kVA rating of installation. And we know that the kVA rating is simply under root 3 into V into I. Okay, so it is under root 3 into 400 multiplied by 50. And similarly, the next is to calculate the kVAR rating of installation. So the same, it is under root 3 VI sin phi. Okay, or you can also calculate it by using the formula of the power triangle. Okay, that is maybe the square root of kVA or kVA square minus kilowatt square and whole square. You can also calculate from this formula. Okay, now just do the calculations for this. So kVA comes out to be 34.64 and kVAR comes out to be 20.80. So these we have calculated for the installation. Now just put these values in the power triangle side by side. So kVA is 27.7. Here it is 27.7, and kVA, that is on the hypotenuse side, it is 34.64, and on the perpendicular side it is 20.8. Okay, so this is the, we are done with the installation part. Okay, now let's start with the kilowatt input to the synchronous motor. Okay, kilowatt. This one is for the installation. Now kilowatt of synchronous motor. Okay, and one thing is the synchronous motor has to derive 25 horsepower load at an efficiency of 0.9. Okay, so here we have to apply the formula as Firstly, converting this 25 horsepower into the kilowatts. I'm using here 25 multiplied by 735.5 divided by 100 into 0.9 efficiency, like this. Okay, 25 divided by 735.5 divided by 0.9 into, here it is 1000 because I want my answer in kilowatts. Okay, so for this, so the kilowatt for synchronous motor comes out to be 20.43 kilowatt, and this is for the synchronous motor, that is kilowatt. So here write down 20.43. Okay, now the total kilowatt, that is when the synchronous motor is connected with the installation. Okay, initially there is installation alone, but we install the synchronous motor to improve the power factor. Okay, so when the synchronous motor is connected with the installation, then the total kilowatt for both installation and this comes out to be this. Here it is, this one 27.7 plus 20.4, 27.7 plus 20.43, so it comes out to be 48.13 kilowatt. So this one is the total kilowatt for the installation. Let us write this power triangle as the total. Okay, so for the total is, here comes out to be 48.13. Okay, now next step is the overall power factor, and we know that the synchronous motor has to improve the power factor up to 0.95 level. It is given in the question. Okay, so for the total installation, firstly calculate the phi, that is new phase angle. Okay, so new phase angle, it comes out to be phi is equal to, that is cos inverse of 0.95. Okay, as 0.95 it is given in the question that the power factor is improved to 0.95. New phase angle comes out to be cos inverse of 0.95, and it comes out to be 18.2 degree. Okay, it comes out to be 18.2 degree. And now the total kVAR. Total kVAR for this installation, for the complete power triangle. What is the total kVAR? We know the kilowatts. We know the angle. Here the angle is 18.2 degree. Okay, so we have to find out this thing now. Okay, total kVAR. So this comes out to be, just see here that perpendicular upon base. Okay, perpendicular upon base is tan of 18.2 degree. Okay, so how to calculate the perpendicular? That is base multiplied by tan of 18.2 degree. So here the total kVAR comes out to be, it is 48.13 tangent of 18.2 degrees. Okay, so this comes out to be 15.82 kVAR. Okay, now this complete numerical up to this point, we have calculated the kVAR of rating, installation initially, and final kVAR after installing the synchronous motor. Okay, now the kVAR of synchronous motor. Okay, this is the kVAR initial, this one. This is the kVAR final. Okay, and now the kVAR for synchronous motor, it comes out to be this final minus initial. Okay, so kVAR for synchronous motor, it comes out to be 15.82 minus 20.80. Okay, total kVAR minus the initial kVAR. So this gives you, that is minus of 4.9. Okay, and one thing here, that what does this negative sign represent? It represents your leading nature of the capacitor installation or the synchronous motor installation. So that's why there is the negative sign which shows the leading nature. Okay, so it comes out to be minus 4.98, or you simply write it as 4.98 kVAR, but in the bracket write down here capacity. 4.98 kVAR capacity. Okay, so till now we have calculated the kVAR for synchronous motor. It comes out to be 4.98. The kVAR for total comes out to be 15.82. Okay, so our question is to calculate the kVA and power factor of synchronous motor. So now in the triangle of synchronous motor, see, in the triangle of synchronous motor, we are left with only this side. Okay, and it is very easy to calculate the hypotenuse now because base is with us, perpendicular is also with us now, and calculate the hypotenuse and also calculate this phase angle, and then calculate the power factor for the synchronous motor. Okay, just do this. So here the kVA comes for the synchronous motor. So it comes out to be 21.03 kVA. It comes out to be 21.03 kVA, and just I'm going to write here now 21.03. Okay, and power factor, we know that it is the base upon hypotenuse. So I'm directly applying here power factor for the synchronous motor cos phi, that is base upon hypotenuse. So base is 20.43, hypotenuse is 21.03. Just divide them and you got 0.97 of leading nature, because the synchronous motor always gives you the leading power factor. Okay. Or simply by using the power triangles, you can be able to perform the experiment. Okay, so this is the complete experiment related to improving the power factor. So in the second numerical, it is given energy is 201,500 kilowatt hour. Load factor is 0.35, and the tariff scheme it is given here 4,000 plus 1,200 per kilowatt plus rupees 2.20 per kilowatt hour. Okay, and as energy it is directly given in the question here, but need is to calculate the kilowatt for the maximum demand. Okay. First thing, for the first part, that is simply to calculate the annual bill. Firstly, maximum demand, the formula is energy divided by time into load factor. As here we are going to calculate the bill for the yearly basis. To taking the time as 8760, energy is given in the question 201500, and load factor is also given 0.35. So its answer comes out to be 65.72 kilowatts. And the annual bill, now applying the tariff scheme, so 4,000 plus 1,200 multiplied by 65.72 kilowatt plus 2.20 multiplied by 201,500. Okay, and we got this answer, that is rupees 526,164 per year. Okay, now similarly in the part B, same energy but load factor changes to 0.55. That what happens when the load factor increases. Okay, now in the second part, the load factor changes from 0.35 to 0.55. Energy remains same. Okay, what is the way? So again, recalculate the maximum demand. So now the maximum demand, it is equals to 201,500 divided by 8760 multiplied by 0.55. Now it is 0.55, and for the bill accordingly recalculate the bill again. So it is now comes out to be 4,000 plus 1200 multiplied by the new power consumption here, multiplied by same energy 201,500. Okay. So the maximum demand comes out to be 41.82 kilowatt. Let's put down this value here, and the answer for this comes out to be rupees 497,484 per year. Okay, so this is the numerical related to the tariff, and previously that is related to the power factor improvement. Okay, let's do one C part, that when energy consumption is reduced to 25% and the load factor remains same to 0.35. Okay, as here in the question that energy is reduced to 25%. So that means 75% energy is available with us. Okay, so the new energy now comes out to be 201,500, that is given in the question, multiplied by 0.75. Okay, this will be your new energy. Okay, and new maximum demand now. So the maximum demand, just recalculated with this new energy, that is 201,500 multiplied by 0.75 divided by 8760 into 0.35, because the load factor remains same, and the answer for the maximum demand comes out to be 49.29 kilowatts. 49.29 kilowatts. And now again use the same tariff scheme for calculating the bill. Okay, but here now you have to use the new energy. It's not 201,500. You have to use the new energy, that is 201,500 multiplied by 0.75. Okay, so after doing all the calculations, your annual bill now comes out to be annual bill by applying the same tariff scheme. So it comes out to be 395,623. That is rupees 395,623 per year. So this one will be your new annual bill for this C section. Okay, so these are the numericals related to the tariff, that what happens when the load factor is changed, what happens when the energy is changed. So what we have concluded from here, that if the load factor is increased, our annual bill reduces. Okay, and if the energy consumption is reduced, again our annual bill reduces. So annual bill depends upon the load factor and energy consumption, as it's seen from this numerical. Okay, so it is all about today's lecture. Thank you.